You have reread the same text 4 times, looking for a tone that might not even be there. You have asked if everything is okay when nothing seemed wrong. You have said, "I love you" first, twice in one day, just to see if it comes back the same way. If any of that sounds familiar, you already know what needing constant reassurance feels like. What you probably do not know is where it came from. It is not insecurity. It is something that stopped developing when you were about 3 years old. Stick around, because by the end of this you will know exactly why the reassurance never lasts as long as you need it to, and the one thing that actually does. It shows up in small moments you barely notice anymore. You ask twice in one conversation if they are mad at you. You need them to text first, or the whole day feels slightly wrong. You feel completely fine right after they reassure you, and the doubt is back again by evening, quieter, but just as real. None of that means you are needy. It means something never finished building. Here is where it starts, and it starts with a very simple test on babies. A Swiss psychologist named Jean Piaget hid a toy under a blanket while an infant watched. Babies younger than 8 months did not reach for it, did not cry, did not seem to remember it was ever there. To them, once something left sight, it stopped existing completely. Piaget, at the University of Geneva, called the skill that grows in afterward object permanence. The understanding that things keep existing even when you cannot see them. Most people assume that only applies to toys and car keys. It does not. There is an emotional version of that exact same skill, and a lot of people never finish building it. In 1975, a psychoanalyst named Margaret Mahler at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine gave it a name: object constancy. Not the ability to remember that someone loves you. Almost everyone can do that. Object constancy is the ability to still feel loved by someone while they are distracted, annoyed, quiet, or simply not in the room. Knowing and feeling are 2 different skills, and Mahler found that some children finish building the feeling by around age 3. Others do not, and they carry the gap into every relationship that follows, usually without ever getting a word for it. This is exactly why reassurance keeps running out. You ask if they are upset. They say no. You believe it for about 10 minutes. Then the doubt creeps back, not because you disbelieve their words, but because the feeling of being loved was never something that stayed put on its own. Picture a slightly rougher version of the same test, run a generation later. A parent leaves a room, a stranger sits down, the parent comes back a few minutes after. Some toddlers cry hard the second she leaves, then relax completely the moment she is back in their arms. Others barely react at all, even while a monitor on their chest shows their heart racing the entire time. Neither group had learned yet that comfort was safe to trust. That experiment was called the Strange Situation, built by Mary Ainsworth in 1978. And it grew out of work started a decade earlier by British psychiatrist John Bowlby at the Tavistock Clinic in London, who first proposed that every child builds an internal model of whether the people they depend on will actually come back. If you recognized yourself in that second group, needing constant reassurance as an adult is not a character flaw. It is a model that got built before you had the language to question it. Here is the part almost nobody tells you. In the 1980s, a psychologist named Sue Johnson at the University of Ottawa found that reassurance itself does not build the missing piece. Repetition does. It is never one conversation that convinces a nervous system someone is dependable. It is hundreds of small returns, someone leaving and coming back, someone getting annoyed and staying anyway, someone going quiet and still being there in the morning. Only after enough of those does the doubt finally start to quiet down on its own. Which means the fix was never about asking one more time and finally getting the answer that sticks. The fix is slower than that and much less dramatic. It is watching someone come back enough times that the file finally updates, the way it should have, around age 3. You cannot talk yourself into that update, and you cannot rush someone else into giving it to you either. It only builds the way it has ever built, one return at a time. So the next time you catch yourself asking if they still love you, for the third time this week, maybe the question is not why you keep needing to ask. Maybe it is whether you have been given enough returns yet to stop needing to. Human after all.